Buenos nachos, amigos. Could it be like this over here? I like this. That looks good. Okay. So this is the third video. This is the third video. I am a new YouTuber. I do not know what I am doing, but I'm kind of like obsessed with this, what appears to be some kind of weird. It just seems like they're more interested in like dissing Bernie and like just shaving off like left votes, you know, finding like the real left or people who think that they're like really invested. Or, of course, there are actual people who that is their profile, where they're like so left that they have to be like they have to keep going left no matter what to be like continue to be more left. Okay, and this article is one that's listed in the comments of the Lauren Steiner video with Jamaral Thomas by John Jeter. Or Jean, I like to say it in French, Jean Jeté. Yes, Ali. And speaking fees, sucking up to power, how BLM lost its mojo. The Black Panther Party remains beloved in the African American community 52 years after its founding. Revered for its nutrition and health programs, fearless defense of the people, and self-sacrifice. The BLM leadership, on the other hand, poses for fashion magazine photo spreads. Which, like, I guess it's these three ladies who actually are, like, supposedly the leaders of an organization called Black Lives Matter, but I don't understand the Black Lives Matter in the first place to be that formal of an. I mean, they are the Black Lives Matter, you know, ladies, but I think it's like obviously it's not these three ladies who did the whole thing, and so the idea that maybe they're like somehow co-opting the movement in order to subvert it to democratic norms, shall we say? Subvert it to democratic norms. All right? So I wanted to read this quote from the article, which is a quote from the Black Lives Matter Cincinnati guy. Who is this? The best way, this is basically the Cincinnati organization that broke off from Black Lives Matter because they were getting their picture taken and getting book deals and going to the White House, etc. Okay, and this is what they say. The best way for us to move our Black liberation work forward is to be autonomous from the global network. We will take time to build a collective that can realize our power, be accountable to our community, and transformative in our politics. We see this as a continuation of the radical Black liberation and Black power struggle that has spanned centuries around the world. We believe in the right to self-govern and our need to become ungovernable to institutions that do not serve our interest of freedom, autonomy, and liberation. We view the struggle for Black liberation as a human rights struggle. Black liberation is necessary and imperative for global liberation and the liberation of all people. It sounds pretty good. I'm not that against it. It sounds pretty good. But let's look at this one. Let's parse this shit. Let's break this shit down. Okay. We will take time to build a collective that can realize our power. Wait a minute. To be autonomous from the global network. That's pretty good. We want to be more local. That's fine, you know. So that's like, I think that's consistent with progressive thoughts, with progressive points. We believe, but here's where it maybe takes a turn. We believe in the right to self-govern, which is, you know, and that's why I'm saying none of this on its face is going to appear to be objectionable. But to me, the subtext, when it's coming from, and this is also Mint Press News. So then after this, maybe we'll go to Rational Wiki and see Mint Press, because Mint Press is That's the thing, is the whole point of this whole movement is to convince the stray leftist to, join with the wacky left, rather than be like the Republicans will always rally around, Trump. Eventually, in the end, they had their votes to get, and we didn't. And nobody nobody likes Hillary. On the left, the right, and really, just only people who are paid to like her seem like the only people who really like her. But it just seems like it's we believe in the right to self-govern. Freedom, which is another like buzzword for that. That's what I'm saying. The Mint Press News has a lot of libertarian. I think definitely has. It's actually, well, it may have like things that are like meant to be like far left, and they're so like anti-war, But then that's the whole lure of libertarianism is, freedom. We need to. But then they go further and just say like, we need to get rid of the entire government, because then we can't use the government to help us. Like the corporate state has used the government all along, and we have to just like abandon the government. We have to abandon the global thing, so that we can just like do it on ourselves, on our own, and not like try to get together with a 99 cent and have a That's why now she says F you Bernie Sanders. I don't know, and if you watch that video, watch it. What is she saying to F you about him? Why are we stopping? What has he done that's so? See, that's I don't understand. If it was like, if he'd done something, we would have heard about it from like the usual suspects who can tell us like what he actually did that was wrong, rather than just some kind of shady. This is what they do. They sling it. This is like So that's all up for this article right now. I might come back to that article in a second. And I haven't even looked at this. I wonder what this one is. WSWS. WSWS? See, I don't know the source, I don't think. Okay, World Socialist website. Clashes on, black capitalism. Oh, that's funny. This is funny too. The World Socialist website, which I assume, they're probably real socialists, but, the question is, do we abandon electoral politics? Is that, is that ultimately going to be the message here? To just like, let's not rally around like a progressive agenda and get it passed, because obviously we have the votes, we have the power. If we just like get past the bullshit here. Now we'll do this whole exchange here. Do it from. Okay, I don't think I read this one yet. Yeah, this is a funny one.
Million casualties.
And here's her third and so far final response to me. I'm feeling so hungry right now. I'm eating a banana right now. I have to eat some banana because I really got to go to some food. All right. You are so you are so stupid that you lack the basic ability to even research my work. I've been an extreme left-wing activist since 2004. I was part of Occupy LA. I started and ran LA for Bernie for over a year, and I was a delegate to him in the Neoliberal Convention, in the National Convention. I am a member of DSA LA, Democratic Socialists of America, Los Angeles. I fight fracking, the TPP, education, privatization, climate change, and all neoliberal programs to extract the resources and wealth of our country by and for the 1%. I've organized 3 dozen protests and disruptions of government meetings. The only thing I agree with Rand and Rand Paul about is their non-interventionist policy and their skepticism of the Federal Reserve. Why should we pay banksters to loan us our own money? All you have to do is scroll through my videos on this channel to see all this. And now I'm done communicating with you after you plan for a fundraiser I'm hosting tonight with those right-wing libertarians, Gail McLaughlin, whatever that is, Gail McLaughlin, and Jimmy Dore. LOL. My response. This is the response of Gary DeForve. You are a real Johnny on the spot, aren't you? So you don't agree with the polls, but Bernie is too right-wing for you. I have heard the story many times before. It's a multi-layered effort. A vote here, a vote there, misdirected energy. What about 2004? You've been pilled at some point, right? Not buying it. You tell a rat by the company they keep. That's other rats. And you seem to live. You seem to live? Give. Love. This is supposed to be love. You seem to love. Yeah, I gotta check my fucking typos here. Neoliberal institutions, the LA Times, and NPR, and Now Democracy Now, and The Intercept are in on it right. Everybody else is lying. The first thing the cult tells you is that everybody else is lying, or you may be just a well-meaning dummy who's mixed up some really shady people and easily misled and tribalist. I'm analyzing your YouTube president, and you seem to fit in with the crowd that wants to abandon Bernie because he is not left enough, rather than unite to try to get him to move where you want. The balls are straight frauds. And where in the freaking video do you get to where you criticize the left? I am used to this style of long-winded style of non-specific mudslinging. Hang on, I'm going to take this part out. I am used to this long-winded style of long-winded, non-specific mudslinging. Is it a coincidence that you all drone out and don't say anything but just work to discredit other leftists? I try to understand why A.B. Goodman is a sellout now. I just don't understand it. I know it isn't me. I can't be gaslighted. So, we'll talk about that. The Syria thing. I don't understand. Like, supposedly, Amy Goodman is a sellout because she did this. I guess she used the wrong source. And now she's using LA Times, NPR, National Petroleum Radio, like, what? And now she's spreading Mint Press News. And she also used globalresearch.ca, which Global Research is another one. It's just like affiliated with James Corbett, and you know they're anti-climate change. They're clearly like a libertarian, and this is like a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like this supposedly trying to be super left and anti-war, but when you come down to what they're actually all about, they're the climate change is a hoax and all this nonsense, and they have typical libertarian views on everything. If you actually get down into them, it's just like Scientology, where they're trying to draw you into the cult, and of course they don't tell you about Xenu the first day. They tell you about Xenu, like, eventually after you pay them all that money and you invested, and it's too late. You can't not believe in Xenu at that point. And here I say, here's another message. That is your narrative that The Intercept and Amy Goodman, and presumably anyone who agrees with them, has sold out to the establishment because they are willing to lie about an issue that literally no one cares about. You don't show any progressive focus. We are trying to gain political power so that we can stop war through our system. Not easy. Why are idiots like you chasing wild geese? I'm trying to understand this topic. I'm trying to understand why. And then I'm trying to understand what her point is. I don't get it. Amy Goodman can't be trusted now. The Intercept can't be trusted now. Only this global research. That's my last comment, so I'll not skip to that at the end. Globalresearch.ca, Canada, LOL. Look at it, and look at James Corbett, who's very much associated with it. And it's clearly like not on the surface. It's like appearing to have all the concerns that if you're a leftist, you're going to have. But then if you get into it, you'll find it's like the solution is, let's go back to this article, the right to self-govern and freedom and autonomy and liberation. Freedom, freedom, freedom from the government. That's the answer to that. Not taking over the government and controlling it democratically by having a coherent leftist view. They're here just like making us look like idiots on the left by making us like being involved in a bunch of shit that nobody fucking cares about. Now I'll just read my last comment because I don't know what's it. Yeah. James Corbett is the only one who's not a sellout, right? I became more interested in you when you accused Cenk Uygur of lying because he took an investment from someone who donates to the DNC. So you only use the uncorruptible LA Times, rich, you know, which the LA Times, I mean, please research it as far as like who owns the Times, who owns and operates the Times. The New York Times, that's what I'm saying. New York Times, Washington Post, all the, I mean, you're looking for straight corporate control and spin on things, you'll find it right there. I mean, obviously, Washington Post, New York Times, they have very little content that I would describe as progressive content. Obviously, because they are expressing the view of, you know, that's what I say. So she's just like, it just totally doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then she's trying to just like, you know, then she talks to Jimmy Dore. And I already talked about how Lee Camp is a total, you know, Peter Joseph. I just like, it's the same thing where it's just like, you could tell the underlying message is, oh, yeah. I mean, we want to go local. We want to go autonomous. But that doesn't mean we don't want to focus on gaining political power, because once like the people are controlling the government, then war stops, right? Now it's being controlled by the military industrial complex, right? That's what's going on, right? So we need political power, right? That's obvious. So why aren't they focusing on that? They're just not focusing on the obvious. They're chasing a bunch of shit.